What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another Hat format replay review. If you're interested in sending in your Hat format replays, you can go down to the video description and find out all the information on how to send in your replays. But anyways, here I have another match for you guys. We have Familiar, who is on Madolche. I'm not entirely sure if it's a variant or anything like that, versus Raw JH545, who is on Hat. Opening hands, we see Trap Trick, Trap Hole Nightmare, Angeli, Magdalene, Breakthrough Skill, and Magdalene. And Raw here has Needle Sealing, Max C, Ice Hand, Trap Tricks, Mermail, and Black Horn of Heaven. Very cool to see Needle Sealing in the Hat deck. And overall, pretty solid hands from both players. I believe they had already done the Rock, Paper, Scissors, and Raw will be starting this one out. So let's get straight into it. Here we see Raw draw a copy of Moral Attack. They go summon Mermail, search the copy of Bottomless, set the Moral Attack and the three other trap cards, and pass it over to Familiar, who gets a copy of Hoot Cake. So they are drawing a lot of their Madolche engine here. So it wouldn't surprise me if this was, a pure version of Madolche, though at the same time, sometimes you just see more engine than not. Here, they're going to start by summoning Angeli. Using the effect, here Raw will chain the Max C, Familiar summons a copy of Hoot Cake, and then a Sanctum is drawn off the Max C. On the summon of Hoot Cake, Bottomless is going to be activated, so it will banish the Hoot Cake. They then set a copy of Breakthrough Skill and the Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare and pass it over. Raw gets a copy of Fire Hand. They summon the Ice Hand because obviously back row, you don't want to summon the Fire Hand and then potentially risk it not being able to trigger. They go to battle phase and get in for 3,000 damage here. So pretty solid, lots of pressure from Raw here, who then goes main phase 2, sets the Sanctum and passes. Familiar gets a copy of Fiendish Chain. They go summon Magdalene. They say it's good, search another Angeli. Interesting to see that. I wonder if they're on the Mufule. Usually the deck does play it. I guess maybe with all the back row, they are afraid of some form of negation, whether that's Breakthrough Skills or Fiendish Chains. Because usually if you see something like Hoot Cake and already have a monster in graveyard, you kind of skip some steps. Whereas, here the Angeli is good, but it kind of falls short to the same type of things. They then set the Fiendish Chain, though, and pass turn. Here Raw gets a copy of Breakthrough Skill, but they will just go straight battle phase, attack into the Magdalene, but that gets met with the Fiendish Chain, so Mermail will just attack over the Magdalene, which will then get shuffled back into the deck via its own effect. Main phase 2, set the Breakthrough Skill and pass. Here Familiar gets a copy of Fire Hand, so it actually is Madolche hands, alrighty. So they set Fire Hand and pass. Raw gets a copy of Mermail. They already had the Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmares, I thought. Or no, I guess Familiar had it. They just had regular Bottomless. Okay, here they're going to, though, overlay for a copy of Dweller, use the effect. That gets met with Familiar's Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare. So then, still in the main phase, they just set a Fire Hand and pass. Familiar gets a copy of Dimensional Prison, cool to see that. They then summon the Hoot Cake. They go for the effect, banishing Angeli. Raw says that's good, summoning a Messengelato, which uses its effect. They say it's good. They get a Chateau to hand. And then here Raw will use that Needle Sealing before the Chateau comes down, so these will be destroyed and shuffled back into the deck. They will get to keep their set monsters, though, because Needle Sealing only gets rid of face-up monsters. They then set the Deprison and pass. Here, Raw gets another copy of Moral Attack. I'm just now realizing they are really holding out on this Sanctum. But here they go summon Trap Tricks Mermail, use the effect, search a Trap Tricks Trap Hole Nightmare. They then set the Moral Attack and pass. Here, Familiar gets a copy of Breakthrough Skill of their own. They go for Angeli on summon. The Breakthrough Skill comes down. They then activate Chateau, flip the Fire Hand, go to battle phase. Fire Hand walks into the Mermail. The Fire Hand will trigger, popping the other set Fire Hand, which will miss timing because as turn player, they are Chainlink 1 and Fire Hand will miss timing at Chainlink 2. Ice Hand will then be summoned, swinging in for 14, swinging in for 15 because of the boost with Chateau. setting the breakthrough skill. Very interesting that they are actually grinding their way back through this game because they didn't seem too good for them early on. So, pretty cool to see that. Here, Raw gets another copy of Sanctum and passes. Familiar gets a copy of DD Crow, which is very strong, because if they use this Sanctum and they go for a Beagle Tack play to, pop the Moral Tax, they could at least stop one of them. And then, if anything, they also have Breakthrough Skill to just negate one if they try to pop their cards. Here they go Angeli Effect to summon Hootcake, and it looks like Raw just scoops it up. Very interesting to see. I wonder if maybe... No, I'm pretty sure they still had Moral Tax, so I don't know why they just gave up so early there, unless I'm missing something, but here we will see Raw start this one as well. Opening hands, we see Trap-Trick, Triple Nightmare, Trap Stun, Dimensional Prison, Mirror Force, interesting, and Firehand versus Raw, who opened Card D, Trap-Tricks Dianea, D Prison, Black Horn of Heaven, and Lava Golem? Okay, this is... this is a deck. Did they side out the hands for cars, or were they playing the cars? And then, like, Lava Golem's weird because you can't normal summon or set the turn you use it, so that kind of conflicts with, like, the Trap-Tricks engine. I don't know what's going on here, honestly, so let's just see what happens. Drawing a copy of Dimensional Prison for turn. Summon car. Set a bunch of back row here. Use car, drawing into MST and Ice Hand. So that kind of makes me wonder if maybe they're just on a very small artifact package where they're choosing MSTs over Ignitions, or maybe they just side into MSTs. Very, very interesting here. But over to Familiar, who gets a copy of Breakthrough Skill, setting the Firehand and a lot of back row here. Keeping the Mirror Force in hand, there's no reason to overcommit and potentially get everything blown out. Here, Raw gets a copy of Duality, so this is kind of cool because we'll get to see a little more into this deck, actually. Revealing Max C, Firehand, and Dark Hole. Taking the Max C, which is good. It'll stop, the hands from going too far in, unless they want to, potentially lose out on card advantage pretty easily, or just to kind of slow down and take advantage if the Madolche player starts popping off a bit. They set MST, set Ice Hand, and pass. Familiar gets a copy of Angeli. Okay, so they go summon, use the effect. The Max C is chained here. Summoning Hootcake, and Raw draws a copy of Fiendish. Hootcake effect, banishing Angeli to summon Messengelato. Messengelato effect. Raw gets a copy of MST off of that. Here they're searching Ticket. Okay. Activating Ticket and passing. Raw gets a copy of Moral Tack here. Summons the Lava Golem over the set and the Messengelato. Then they set the MST and pass. Familiar gets a copy of Ice Hand. Very weird grindy decks right now. Hootcake is activated, banishing Firehand to summon a copy of Angeli. Then normal summon Ice Hand. This could have gone really, really bad, depending on how they had played out this back row, but right now, none of this back row really does anything against them. Like, I guess if they try to swing in with Ice Hand, they can get rid of one with a, Dimensional Prison, or even with the Lava Golem. Did yeah, they took the 1,000 in the standby. Here, they're going to overlay for Dweller. That might meet the Blackhorn, which it does. Here, they switch the Lava Golem to defense, and what was just shuffled there? Was that the Hootcake that was summoned the previous turn? I think it was. When Angeli, during the end phase of the next turn after it uses the effect, it shuffles the monster back, and that will trigger the ticket here that when a Madolche card or cards is returned from your side of the field or graveyard to the hand or main deck by a card effect, which it was, you add a Madolche monster from your deck to your hand. They are going to chain the MST here, so they won't get the search. And over to Raw, who gets a copy of Mermail, which they'll normal. That gets met with Breakthrough Skill, setting more back row, passing it over to Familiar, who takes another 1,000, and DD Crow is drawn. Here, switching Lava Golem to attack. That'll probably meet a D Prison. Oh no, they let it die off. Oh, because they have the Dianea in hand. Yeah, so they're just going to do that to try to either bait more back row and then make an Xyz if, they don't negate that effect or anything. So that makes sense. Plus, you know, they're going to keep taking 1,000 damage every standby by leaving this on board. So then main phase 2 setting the Mirror Force and passing. Here another breakthrough skill is drawn, summon Dionea. That gets met with DD Crow, so they don't even have to use the back row here. Over to Familiar, who draws a copy of Magdalene, taking another 1,000 off that Lava Golem, swinging into the Dionea, and Raw is going to take that, main phase 2 summoning Magdalene. That gets met with the copy of Fiendish Chain, passing it over. Raw gets a copy of Firehand. That could be good, but they just set it. Over to Familiar, who gets a copy of Hootcake. Activates Trap Stun. Summons the Hootcake. MST is chained on the effect, I believe, or maybe they're just saying on summon, to pop the Dimensional Prison? Did they miss target? Did they mean to hit the Moral Attack here? Oh, or I just saw the wrong thing. I'm okay. But yeah, they're hitting the Moral Attack, which then can summon back. And the effect triggers to pop nothing, because Breakthrough Skill is able to be activated to negate that. So Hootcake is then activated, banishing Messengelato to summon Angeli. Angeli effect to summon another Hootcake. Overlay the 2 Hootcakes for a Levier, which can then bring back the Messengelato, which can then go into a Tiramisu, using the effect to shuffle back a Hootcake and a Messengelato, and shuffle back the 2 monsters. Go to battle phase. Tiramisu can attack over the Moral attack in with Levier, and attack in with the Lava Golem. End phase, over to Raw, who gets a copy of Bottomless. They still have double D prison, so they're not like, oh no, but they can just reshuffle back. That might just be the end of the game here. Setting 2, passing it over to Familiar, who gets another copy of Mirror Force, taking 1,000, using the effect that gets met with Breakthrough Skill, and battle phase. And yeah, that is just the end of the game. Very cool back and forth game here. I honestly, you know, it seemed like Familiar was out of it that first game, but they clawed their way back, and then, you know, it was a grind game, but they worked their way through the back row. The trap stun came in clutch, and Familiar did end up taking that match. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like on this video, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, share this video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, and make sure you go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your hat format replays. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.